Hello everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We'll give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes, and much more. This episode is brought to you by Yogi Pipe, a line of apparel created with eco-friendly materials by artisans from all over the world. Let's discover more about them and their collection on www.yogipipe.surf. Hello everyone, welcome to the 7th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with me from Hawaii, 3 times world champion and 5-time Pipeline champion of bodyboard, Jeff Hubbard. Let's discover more about him, his career, future projects, and much more. Hi Jeff, and welcome to the show. Where are you today?
Just at home in Hawaii on Oahu, beautiful island of Oahu here. It's a wonderful day in paradise.
Yeah, it's an amazing place over there. And I heard that that were allowed to surf, to do water sport, and that stopped, right? No matter coronavirus or...
Yeah, didn't stop. It was great. Really lucky. We had a lot of good waves, so everyone was still pretty happy. It was a good way to keep the population happy, and it worked. So
we should tell politicians around the world, like let people go to surf and you're going to have less problem, right?
Yeah, less problems, there's less infections and happy people. No one was complaining. It's great.
Cool. Easy.
Too easy. Surfing solves all the problems.
Yeah.
Solves it all.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I really believe into that. Surfing, it heals and it makes a lot of great things. So today we're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about your career, your future projects. But the first question that I have for you is, what is the most important thing in bodyboarding?
But the most important thing is having fun and just enjoying yourself when you're in the water. I think that's always the paramount, the point of going and jumping in the ocean, whether you're, body surfing, bodyboarding, surfing, longboarding, whatever, you're doing it because it's kind of a release and it's fun and it makes you happy. So you got to do it for the right reasons. And I think those reasons are pretty obvious when you jump on a craft of any kind in the ocean.
Yeah. A lot of people I interview, they say like fun is essential. Actually, everybody,
like I said, you can surf naked with no fins, just totally naked, and you can still be surfing. You're riding a wave. That's kind of the definition of surfing, I think, is riding a wave. So
yeah, exactly.
Riding the surf. It's surf. The derivative. Where it comes from is, the surf is the wave, like the crashing of a wave. I think that's that antithesis. And so if you can ride that, you're riding that surf. So if you're doing that, you're surfing. So it doesn't matter what craft
to follow that movie of Kalani Lattanzi is like body surfing Nazare and all those like big waves. So
he's crazy. He's just crazy. Kalani's crazy. Cool.
So a question that of course a lot of people ask you in your career, but how did it all started? When you decided that you were going for bodyboarding?
Oh, I think in Hawaii you have so many options, and it for me is just what my friends were doing, because I tried surfing and bodyboarding and body surfing. When you're a kid, you do everything, whatever's everyone's doing. So I was able to choose bodyboarding because my friend group, my peers were all bodyboarders. And so and there's some older bodyboarders at the surf breaks I rode. So I think I saw them and it just seemed to be more fun and exciting at the time. So that's what we were all doing. And so that's what I stuck to. And one of my brothers surfed, and so that his friends surfed, so he did surfing, and so that's kind of it could have gone either way. It was just more fun for me to bodyboard with my friends.
Yeah, and it's still the same, right?
It's still the same.
Yeah, it doesn't change. That's amazing. What was the defining moment of your career? The moment that you basically said to yourself, "I'm going to do that as a profession, as a pro"?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought, when am I going to do that? I guess one of them might have been that I'm going to do this as a pro is when I guess I was bodyboarding so much. I was going to school at the same time, and my grades got so bad that I was dismissed from school. I was suspended. So since I was suspended from college, I had to make money on my own. So I was like, that was the time. I was like, well, I guess I better make money as a professional to pay my way so I can pay my rent. So that, because my parents were not going to support me because I wasn't in school. They said, okay, you're not in school. We're not giving you any money. So I was like, well, I guess I better get some money from someone. So that was a defining moment, I guess. Like, okay, I'm going to go get some payments from my sponsors here.
Yeah, it's a pretty good incentive, right? To have motivation. Right?
It was very motivating. And I was lucky at the time, I was able to, get some money from some sponsors and pay my rent and get start that way. So it was really cool.
You've been 3-time world champion, 5-time pipeline champion. Would you have changed, looking back, something in your career? Would you have done something differently?
No, I think it's one of those situations when you always look back, you realize all roads you take lead you to where you are today. So you only would change things if you're not happy where you are today. And so, yeah, I'm very happy where I am today. And, you could change any minute detail in the past and you're going to end up in a different situation where you are right now. And so I'm, since I'm so happy where I am now, I wouldn't change absolutely anything, and that includes the losses, and sometimes you're in a critical heat and you make one little mistake, if it's so easy to change one mistake and but you change that mistake and you could change your whole life. You never know. Like, okay, maybe I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to meet my wife. I'm not going to have a kid. You don't know. Like, it's those little details. So you just, it leads you, you look back always on your life and you're like, yeah, I'm pretty happy. If you're happy where you are, you don't want to change anything.
Plus, if you look at things, we all learn more from difficulties rather than to winning, right?
Yeah, we learn from the mistakes all the time.
So, and what is the thing that you are the most proud of in your career? Like, not necessarily a world championship title, but something that was very meaningful for you. It's very meaningful for you.
Oh, wow, you're right. Because the wins all come and go, and those those feelings are amazing, and they don't define you as a person. They might define you as a wave. Your status in surf society maybe, but they never define you as a person or a human being. So I think you always want to be remembered for someone who's just a good person, a good friend. I think that's always really important first, is just being a good human and a good friend. That's something I treasure more than anything. Those connections you have with your friends and your peers are more important than, you'll remember those long after you forget the wins.
Yeah. So real friendship stays, and titles and win and the
exactly
goals, right? And,
exactly.
But if you have to look at your best moment in your professional career, what it was like when you felt really accomplished?
Oh, then those are hard. I mean,
right?
I think. I mean, if you try not to like think about the contest wins and stuff like that. But I remember, I guess it's just one moment that I felt really accomplished. It was probably the first time I won the pipeline contest, because that was a contest that had made so much to me growing up as a kid. It kind of came full circle, because that's what I watched on TV as a young kid, watching the TV and looking up to these riders and looking at pipeline and going, oh wow, like it just seemed like the dream. That was the pinnacle of the sport. And so when you finally reach that dream, like that was, the world championship. Yeah, that was a secondary dream I came. But as a kid, it was always just to win pipeline, and that's what you see and so winning that, I realized, that was such a defining moment. Like, wow, I've done it. I've made it. I've come full circle from what I dreamt of as a young kid. Knowing nothing about the sport, because if you watch the TV shows back then, you'd see the bodyboarding was on the mainstream TV. You just turn on the television and it's on TV. So it seems so amazing and so big. And that was the only media back then. So that media was huge. So if you could do that, you just felt, felt real powerful. So that was pretty cool.
How do you deal with adrenaline and fear? Because I guess there is quite a lot in bodyboarding, right?
Yes, I mean it's kind of, when you push yourself, you're always going to have that balance between being afraid or being excited. They kind of come together, that adrenaline and the fear all come together at certain stages. And sometimes it's doing a big move, sometimes it's surfing big waves, sometimes it's surfing scary shallow waves, powerful waves. So it comes in, for bodyboarding in many different forms and possibilities. So you really, I don't know, you just really kind of immerse yourself in it. When it's big waves, you try to relax, and if you're scared, you try and laugh it off. Sometimes you just have to laugh, and that calms you down. Laughing is a real good tool for that. If you're caught in really big, scary situation, you can force yourself to laugh. You kind of can naturally brings down your heart rate in certain circumstances. So that's really powerful. And not thinking about things, also just kind of turning your mind blank in some situations is also helpful. If you're, surfing and trying to numb your mind, if you're surfing in some situations that are just look so life-threatening.
In a certain way, it's a kind of a meditation, live meditation. You enter into
exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like out-of-body experiences.
Exactly. You're there, but you're not there. And then maybe...
Yeah, I'm there, I'm not there. Exactly.
Maybe it's the secret, you never know. It's like maybe it's the secret formula. How do you see the sport today? I mean, there are not a lot of champs like from US, from Hawaii. No, the sport is quite dominated by South African. So how do you see it evolving?
I think what's happened was, it kind of just goes and flows with the industry and where it kind of takes you. That there's obviously amazing riders in the US and Hawaii, and some very talented young individuals coming up, but at the same time, maybe they don't have the right opportunities. And I think in certain circumstances, like, some of the countries in like South Africa, for example, they're so driven because they see someone get success and they all feel like they can get success. And they all have really strong work ethics, and they all have to overcome such diversity there to begin with. And so they know how to make things happen. I think so. They learn a trade. And so that's something people, some people in the US and other areas don't learn so quickly. If you have things that are readily available to you and you don't have to really go after them with everything you have, you kind of just, you don't have to learn this trait of just finding any way you can to make it, if that makes sense, if you can understand that point.
It does, definitely. Nevertheless, from something like big as US, to see like the sport completely dominated by South African, or, it's like, it's even on female. I was reading like I think the Japanese body surfer. I don't remember her name anyway. I think even in women, like should be like a lot of opportunity and potential over there.
Right, and I think one thing in the U.S. is it's probably just dominated more by surfing too. I mean, everyone, it's that image of surfing so cool, and if you have a lot of opportunity here, the younger kids who are rich, who have the money, the parents have the money, they're going to push them to surf because there's so much money in it. And so what you're seeing now in this recession, really noticeably here the last couple months, is that because surfing really is disappearing as far as professional surfing right now in Hawaii. I mean, there's professional surfers, but there's no contest, no media, no nothing. And the future is really uncertain. So you don't see as much of the parents pushing the kids anymore and like to go surfing, to be a pro surfer. So it's really interesting dynamic, I think, happening with this pandemic because of the fact that people would push their kids in, just like with any sport. And, in America and Europe it's pushed to soccer. America's pushed to football or basketball. In certain demographics, everyone's pushing their kids to do something to try and make it as a professional athlete, because that's like a dream. And so, in Hawaii and Southern California, they have pushed their kids to be pro surfers because you see John and they have so much money. So I think that was a huge trend for a while. So you would never really pick bodyboarding because, there's no money in it. So you do it for love. So your parents are never going to push your son to something there's no future career path. They don't think it's kind of a waste of time. But now, because of the pandemic and other things, I think there's many more bodyboarders and many more young bodyboarders this summer. The record sales of all across the board. I've never seen sales like this for bodyboarding, just because, everyone's going out and having fun. There's no reason to go try and be professional in anything. They just realize, it's just about going into the water and having fun with your family and your friends. And that's good enough. So it's interesting what your people, would aspire to. Like, we have to get the most money for our kid. And then now it's like, people just like, we just have to have fun. Yeah. It's an amazing dynamic shift, really instantly with something like this COVID. It's really cool.
But, we were starting our interview saying that the most important thing is to have fun. And then maybe this coronavirus confinement bring us back to be human.
Totally.
Yeah.
It does. It's perfect. It's a perfect example. Everyone is just going out and having fun. And I remember when I was, the first lockdown started in the other countries, I felt like, man, I have to surf as much as I can. What if I get locked down? What if they stop surfing in Hawaii? It was just like this drive. So, we surfed so much. Everyone was just like making every session just, count, because they didn't know what the future held in Hawaii. Like, they're going to lock it down. And then soon we realized it was okay. But we just felt so lucky because no one else could surf. So we always felt so blessed and happy to be surfing. And so even though we were able to surf, we still felt fortunate, and we all took that as a good omen, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Because the other countries, I know couldn't surf for many, many months, and so they missed that feeling. Like you said, they missed it. So, they got out and did it again, and they were just so happy. And it was a real freedom to be able to go do it again, and a blessing.
Yeah. The other way, I was talking with Drew Brophy, the artist. And he was telling me, look, Alessandro, there is an issue, because since all the pro surfers are not going to surf around the world, they are all at home and they're surfing in our favorite surf spot, and we are not able to catch any wave because all the pro surfers are catching all of them. So
interesting.
It was interesting because I said, like, yes, come on, but it's good, you can surf. Yes, but they're catching all the waves,
I didn't think of that. I guess, we don't have that problem here in Hawaii so much, but they were here. You're right. Pipeline was really crowded when we had the big swells because all the pros were here. Usually April, they're all gone. Yeah. But this April, we had amazing swells, and everyone was there. So it was like, whoa, it's just like, the middle of the winter with all the pros. The same vibe.
Amazing.
So you're right. You're right. That is something. But the people get to see the pros more and interact with them and watch them surf. So I think that would have such a big effect on the community. They would get to surf with them and really get to learn faster. I see the kids. I feel like just looking at the bodyboarders here and also pro surfers, I see a lot of the pro surfer kids that are right on the cusp, the juniors level, that are really good. They are getting to surf with all the top level guys that were on the CT, so they get to learn so much faster. And in a few months, their level is going much higher than I think it would before, because they're surfing every day, watching their heroes do the same moves at their local break in person, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good.
I agree with you. So you were just saying a few seconds ago that the sales of the boards, are going well in this period, and
yes,
you created your own company, right?
That's right.
So how is it working, this project with you? You're satisfied about the success you've obtained so far? What's next?
Yeah, well, we started the company in 2013, so we've been going on, 7 years now. It's my brother and I, we own the company, and it's just such a great, just a passion, it's just what we love to do. So it's just the natural progression for our careers is to, design the products we use and work on every day. So it's really cool. I always think, well, if I want to use this product, everyone else is going to use it because it's going to work and it's going to be perfect. Because a lot of the bodyboard, there's a couple really core bodyboard brands, but most of the bodyboard equipment out there, majority of it that's sold is made by surfers or surfers that don't have any clue. No one uses it. So it's like, it's really nice when, you put on something that really works, and someone that's spent a lot of time like analyzing every single detail. So those, I think, those little details make such a big difference. And well, at least to me, so that's why we can make this stuff, design it just perfectly suited to like what works. And it's nice we get to do R&D and always, constantly working on it, evolving, our surfing at the same time as, our products, making sure they're the best they can be. So it's really fun. I mean, I'm really blessed to be able to do this for a living. And, I think it was the perfect time for us to have a wonderful, wonderful company and experience. And I had got my master's in business. So it was something that I dreamt about doing before I dreamt about going pro. The whole reason I had started competing in contests as a kid was like, well, I think I'd like to be in business be in the surfing business somehow. So I'll just go to these contests and start out and meet people and learn about the industry that way. So it's kind of like a full circle. It took me a while because I had a bunch of stops along the road being a pro bodyboarder. But at the end, it was the perfect culmination of what I had dreamt about doing from the very beginning.
Yeah, at the end it's a matter of mindset, right? If you see through and you see your objective, then no matter what's the age, you can achieve and do things like they are amazing. So what's next for you? What are your plans in the next months to come?
Well, here in Hawaii, I always put on a lot of contests. I organize 2 contests for the kids. One on Oahu on this island I live in for, it's a free contest for the young Hawaiian kids that we do every year, like 15 and under, and it's free. So that's really a big contest. I've been doing it 12 years. This will be 13, but we just don't know if they're going to give us the permit this year. So we're working. We don't know because of the coronavirus, they may not issue permits on the island of Oahu for gatherings, obviously, which makes sense. So we will see how that goes. So that's in limbo, but we are having another contest on Kauai, another island where they've given us the permit for August. Everything looks okay. We're having a big, it's an amateur event for the kids as well as a pro event too. So it's a nice mixture where the pros teach the kids how to do everything. So it's a really good mixture of how to inspire the next generation. The kids get to watch the pros and the pros get to teach the kids and really work with them on, how to surf in the contest and ride better. So it's a really big project, and this will be our 2nd year. So those are what I'm working on now, besides everyday work on the company.
Okay.
So
we're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A session. So please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
The best board that you ever ridden?
Well, it's my sci-fi bodyboard that I've just come out with a few years ago, and it's just, I won't ride anything else.
Okay. Your favorite bodyboarder, like today?
It's still my brother. My brother Dave. He's always has the most fun. Honestly, it's just I love watching him, surf. It's maybe he's not always riding the most technical or the best or the most advanced, but man, he's always having the most fun. So it's great to ride with him because of that situation.
Your favorite surf spot?
Surf spot, Pipeline.
Yeah, it was quite easy call, right?
That was easy.
Personal question: your favorite song?
Oh man, that's tough. I could go too deep. I guess AC/DC. I like a pretty good AC/DC song, and they got a lot of good ones.
And the last question is a little bit unusual. We ask to everybody: is your best relationship advice?
Relationship advice. Oh, listen. Try and listen more than talk. Listen as much as you can, and if you can do that and really understands all sides of everything, then you'll be doing really good. Just try listen.
Yeah, I guess it's very important.
Yeah,
it's the beginning of every communication, right?
Yeah.
Listen. Cool. Thanks a lot, Jeff, for being with me on the show today.
Thanks,
I look forward to talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Alejandro. You take care. And thanks for having me.
Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!